After 10 years together, Sage had an affair with a female student. When I confronted him, he even let out a sigh of relief. Zoe, being with you is too exhausting. There was no apology, no defense. 10 years of deep affection, yet in the end, we still resented each other. It was almost midnight when Sage finally pushed open the door. His tie was askew. There was a faint red mark on his white shirt collar, and a gentle smile still lingered on his lips. Seeing me, he paused, and his smile immediately faded. Why aren't you resting yet? Waiting for you, I said. An apologetic expression appeared on his face. I had a networking event with the faculty leadership today. I couldn't leave. Yes, I know you had a networking event, but the networking event ended at 9. You don't have to wait up so late for me in the future. Get some rest earlier. He walked over and gave me a perfunctory kiss on my forehead. Sleep. I'm going to shower. As he turned, I suddenly asked, does your department have any young female leaders? He paused, then replied, no. Then why do you smell like women's perfume? His back stiffened for a moment, then he feigned ease. Do I? Maybe I picked it up in the elevator. Oh, okay. I smiled at him and walked towards the bedroom. I lied. I hadn't smelled any perfume, but I found a nearly empty bottle of Ethan perfume in the car, tucked into the crevice in the passenger side floor mat. A few days later, I returned from a business trip and lay in bed scrolling through my phone. The latest update on my social media feed was a photo. A pair of distinct, bony hands operating an instrument in a lab with the caption, "What kind of Professor Thomas stays in the lab this late helping academic dead weight crunch data?" From Sage's student Blake. I zoomed in on the picture. Those hands were clearly Sage's. But as I looked closer, I noticed something was wrong. His left ring finger was bare, the wedding ring he'd worn for 3 years. He'd taken it off. Sage and I had been together since college. Back then, he was a poor student, and few universities accepted him to teach after graduation. He saved money for 3 years and secretly bought a pair of diamond rings. I teased him. Diamonds are just carbon, aren't they? You, and Alex in material science, are willing to spend a fortune on a piece of carbon. He lowered his eyes and smiled. I just thought it would look beautiful with your rhinestone long dress. At that time, my business was just starting to pick up, and he didn't even dare suggest using those diamond rings as wedding rings. It wasn't until he became Professor Michael at Sarah, becoming Professor Thomas, that he proposed to me. At my insistence, we still used those now somewhat inexpensive diamond rings as our wedding rings. I wore mine constantly, proudly showing it to partners to show that even someone with very little was willing to give you their complete devotion. At our wedding, Sage held my face, his eyes filled with sincerity. Zoe, I can't possibly fall in love with anyone else in this life. Perhaps he never imagined then that this life would only last 3 years. Onyx, it's time to go to Sarah to negotiate a new energy project. My assistant Onyx reminded me. My company specializes in high-precision machinery manufacturing, and our new material research and development tends to collaborate with Sarah. Sarah's material science program is top-tier nationwide, and I knew Sage's research wasn't going well this year. This collaboration project would help him with getting tenure and publishing research papers. I saw Sage in the dean's office. He was wearing a black suit, his posture tall and straight. Seeing me, his face darkened. Kai introduced him. Sage, this is Mr. Michael from Jordan, here to discuss a project. The department believes your research direction is the most suitable and recommends you to be in charge. Make the most of this opportunity. After Kai left, Sage immediately stood up. Zoe, what is this about? I told you, our careers shouldn't interfere with each other. I don't need you to hand me projects. I let out a mirthless laugh. How is this charity? Jordan genuinely has a project, and Sarah's material science is top tier, so of course, I want to collaborate. Besides, I didn't specify working with you. Kai thought you were suitable. If you don't want to do it, I'll find another lab. Sage's expression softened slightly, and he said stiffly, my research is busy. Go find another lab. With that, he turned and left. Watching his retreating back, a sharp pang of bitterness welled up in my heart. There was a time when he taught at State College for 2 years, and everyone from Taylor down to the students knew he had a beloved wife who ran a business in Lilly. During Jessica classes, when a female student asked for his social media, he simply changed his profile picture to our wedding photo. When I went bringing him lunch, it caught the attention of the entire campus, and students would exclaim, Sage is beautiful. And Professor Thomas is so lucky. The name Sage, after coming to Sarah, it seemed only Blake had used it. Cameron, I'm Blake, Professor Thomas's student. Professor Thomas is so dedicated and responsible. We all love him. Sage, add me on social media. Please take care of me in the future. When I mentioned her to Sage then, he frowned and scoffed. Her fundamentals are weak. She can't even handle basic procedures. All she does is play little tricks. Don't pay attention to her. I even advised him to be more lenient with his students, unaware of who indulged these little tricks, and who had fallen desperately in love with this feigned innocence. The project ultimately went to Sage. He was Sage's junior, joined Sarah the same year, and was equally capable in research, just had a difficult temperament, so Kai hadn't recommended him first. Seeing Sage, he was smiling and polite, and I started to doubt Kai's judgment. Our discussion went smoothly. To finalize the equipment and venue, Sage took me to see the lab. As we passed through the hallway, I looked through the glass window and saw Sage wearing glasses, patiently guiding a student's operations, one hand on her shoulder, the other holding her fingers, a smile on his face. The student was Blake. She turned her face, revealing a sweet smile. I gave a bitter smile. He was certainly dedicated. Sage scoffed. I'm different from him. My lab doesn't take on dead weight. That night, for the first time ever, Sage came home early and rushed into the room. Zoe, can I have the project? Didn't you say your research was busy? He choked for a moment, his tone softening. I was impulsive this morning. According to my research plan, I do have time to take on the project. Too late, it's already given to Sage. He raised his voice. You gave it to Sage? Do you know he and I are rivals? Besides, he's an oddball. Enough, I interrupted him. This is business. If you don't take it, I'll naturally find someone capable. Professor Sage is a good person, no need to badmouth him. Sage was angry but had something to ask of me, so he still spoke kindly. I'm at a critical stage in my research right now. If I produce results, I can get promoted to professor. Didn't you say you didn't want me to interfere or offer charity? I closed my book. Professor Thomas, one must have professional integrity. He slammed the door shut and went to shower. Zoe, you're being unreasonable. I looked at my phone. Blake updated her social media feed. Boohoo, Professor Thomas is so soft-hearted. He made me a junior team leader. I'll definitely work hard. The post included 2 screenshots. One showed her crying about her thesis being rejected, with Sage's reply, Professor Michael will make sure you graduate with honors. The other was a group chat for the Jordan Randy project team, with Blake listed as junior team leader. I smiled. So he backed down because he wanted to win her over using the project. Sage came out of the shower, his expression indifferent. I suddenly said, I'll give you the project, but in return, you have to agree to one condition. I'll tell you after the project is finished. He beamed with delight and tried to embrace me, but I stepped away. After taking on the project, Sage spent more time at school. His presence was everywhere in Blake's updates. Personally guiding experiments, treating students to bubble tea, walking her back to her dorm. I liked the post and went back to my meeting. At this stage, my new product was more important. With less than a month until the delivery date, Sage still showed no progress. I went to the Sarah lab after work. It was brightly lit, and a few graduate students were working overtime, but I didn't see him or Blake. The graduate students complained, Where's Blake? Probably on a date with Professor Thomas, huh? The project only has a month left, and we're still stuck here. What's there to be afraid of? Professor Thomas said he'd make sure we graduate with honors. She's the junior team leader, but we're doing all the work. Is Professor Thomas married? I heard he has a wife, but I've never heard him mention her. I knocked and entered asking, Where's Professor Michael? The students exchanged glances. Professor Michael had a family emergency and went home. We're proceeding according to his guidance. What's the progress? Can you deliver on time? We can try. As I left, Sage and Blake returned, chatting and laughing, walking side by side like a couple. I smiled. Professor Thomas seems quite relaxed. Looks like results are just around the corner. He put on a stern face and shielded Blake behind him. The student has low blood sugar, so I took her to get something to eat. I saw the student roll her eyes. What are you doing here? Checking on the project progress. Only 1 month until delivery. Will you be on schedule? He was surprised. Isn't it still 3 months away? I took out a copy of the contract. You're mistaken. But I trust Professor Thomas's ability. Blake's face went pale. Sage said in a low voice, I understand. I walked towards the parking lot. Sage followed me, trying to open my car door. What are you doing? Going home. I scoffed. You're not taking your student home? His face flushed. Blake really does have low blood sugar. She has a diagnostic report. Why are you thinking such filthy thoughts? I locked the car door and threw the Ethan perfume sample at his face. I'm filthy, huh? Then Professor Thomas, please go home on your own. Don't touch my car. I'm afraid of catching something. We fell into a silent treatment, with almost no communication at home. As the delivery date approached, I was about to prompt him, but I received a message from Blake. Sage, are you two arguing because of me? Last time I had low blood sugar, Professor Thomas only went to eat with me. Don't be angry with him, he's a good professor, Michael. And another. Sage, the samples are ready, can you come take a look? I tried to contact Sage, but his phone went unanswered. Perhaps he instructed Blake to contact me. So I brought the project lead and technicians to the lab. Blake presented the samples, and behind her, a graduate student rolled his eyes again. The report I stayed up all night writing was stolen again. Professor Thomas said to submit it when he gets back from his business trip. The technicians initially confirmed the samples met standards, but further inspection was needed at the factory lab. Sage returned from his business trip and demanded, "You accepted the samples?" Blake said they were ready, and it was time for delivery. She's the project lead, and she said she had your authorization. He was silent. The project is complete. When will the final payment be deposited? They're not compliant, I said, tapping the inspection report. The material density and ductility don't match expectations. Impossible. He reacted strongly. I personally oversaw every step of the process. Either the preparation method was wrong, or corners were cut, or the data is inaccurate, the technicians said. The contract states that the second round of adjustments is due next week. Go back and find the problem. My production line and sales channels are already set up. If we can't deliver, we'll have to pay a penalty. Sage's face darkened, and he hurried away. Oh, by the way, I left my handbag in your lab. Can you help me find it? Sage toiled for a few days, then discovered errors in the preliminary experimental data, and exploded in the lab. Who was responsible for this experiment? What's wrong with the data? Is it an error or falsification? Blake quickly produced the logbook. It was Luna. She's the senior student. All important experiments are her responsibility. Luna was shocked and, with tears in her eyes, pointed at Blake. Blake did the experiment. Professor Thomas assigned it to me, but she insisted on doing it. She wrote my name in the logbook, but she wrote the summary report. Sage looked at Blake. She looked wronged. I didn't mean to. Phoenix was right there, and didn't remind me either. Luna roared. You couldn't do it yourself and you're blaming me? Sage interrupted. Enough. Find the problem and fix it. Rerun the experiment and complete it before the delivery deadline. He turned to me. Will that work, Mr. Michael? I nodded. Yes. That night, I dreamt of the events surrounding Sage graduating with his PhD. He was doing experiments under a professor who only accepted elite or exceptionally talented students, and his fellow students included the heir to a family business. His advisor often assigned him to work on projects with Ari, and he grumbled while pulling all-nighters. Nearing graduation, Ari secured a major project. After Sage participated, he discovered that the core data was possibly falsified. He refused to sign off on the project proposal, which led to the project's failure, offended Ari and his advisor, nearly prevented him from graduating, and made finding a job difficult. He eventually found a position at Lucas. When I came home then, I saw him sitting dejectedly in his study, looking down at his thesis. Yet did I do something wrong? They said the research project was a rare opportunity, that I brought shame to my academic group, but the data was wrong. How can you draw conclusions from false data? If even data can be falsified, what else is real? I hugged him. You didn't do anything wrong. Standing up for what's right might not always bring rewards, but it brings inner peace. Those who speak the truth and do what is right are never wrong. He sobbed in my arms. When dawn broke, he composed himself and kissed me. Thank you. After starting his career, Sage worked relentlessly. In 3 years, he went from lecturer to master's advisor, and was headhunted by Sarah with a high salary. His lab became a desired place for students because of its zero tolerance for academic dishonesty. 2 years ago, he had expelled a student for thesis falsification. Yet now, faced with Blake's serious errors, he downplayed them and let her off lightly. How was his favoritism towards Blake any different from his advisor's actions towards him back then? Back then, he said, I'll rely on my own hard work and never let people like that step all over me. But now he himself had become that kind of person. Did Blake's appearance change him? Or had he already changed, which then led to Blake? Sage's phone rang. The compliance samples were finally delivered. For the first time ever, he invited me to dinner. I've been too busy lately and neglected you, and I said some harsh things. I apologize. There's truly nothing between Blake and me. She's been pampered since childhood and is clumsy. If I don't keep a close eye on her, I'm afraid she'll ruin the experiment. After all, I recruited her, so I have to make sure she graduates. Last time she was sick, I went with her because I was afraid something might happen. Perfume? That time I went to a meeting at the neighboring school and gave her a ride. It probably fell in the car. She's always been scatterbrained. I remained silent, the lipstick stain on his white shirt, claiming a networking event kept him in the lab. Hand-holding guidance, the obvious awkwardness that students noticed. He always had plausible excuses, saying it was just normal interactions between a professor and student. But Sage, do you know that even when you spoke ill of her, there was a smile in your eyes and on your face? I wiped my mouth. Thanks, I'm finished eating. He smiled, reaching for my hand. We finally have some free time. Let's go out and explore the business world. Sage, you promised me one condition after the project was finished. Of course, what is it? Let's get a divorce. I took out the divorce papers. He froze for a few seconds, then laughed aloud. Zoe, don't joke. I'm serious. He exploded in anger, throwing the papers on the ground. What are you thinking? I told you there's nothing between us. Why don't you believe me? Nothing? If nothing means you didn't sleep with her, then I have nothing to say. I held up my wedding ring. After so many years in the business world, I've had no shortage of admirers around me. Do you think I can't read their intentions? But I always wore my ring, both as a warning to others and a reminder to myself. Someone once gave me their complete devotion. I took off the ring and threw it into the trash. Now even the one who once gave me their complete devotion can no longer offer it, so I don't want it anymore. I turned to leave, but Sage grabbed my arm, drawing a crowd. Sage rushed over and punched him, knocking him down. What are you doing? Sage's glasses were askew. He looked at Sage, then at me, his expression darkening. So this is why you're in such a hurry to divorce. You've already found someone else. Watch your mouth. Sage was about to throw another punch, but I stopped him. Those with dirty minds see dirt everywhere. I picked up the papers. Sage, you promised me. I hope you won't go back on your word. Just then Sage's phone rang. It was Blake, her voice tearful. Professor Thomas, I'm at the bar. I've run into some trouble. His voice immediately softened. I'll be right there. He gave up the argument and left with the papers. Sage scoffed. No police. I thanked Sage. I'm sorry you had to witness that spectacle. It's fine. You two have been together for so many years. I thought he'd cherish you. You were once legends at the university. How did it come to this? I offered a helpless smile. I never imagined it either. May I speak to Miss Zoe? Aunt Amanda had a sudden heart attack and is in critical condition. Are you her next of kin? Please come to the hospital as soon as possible. Aunt Amanda was Sage's mother. I rushed to the hospital. The surgery was successful, but she was still in critical condition. Sage's phone went unanswered. He was probably with Blake. I stayed by her bedside alone. Sage lost his father at a young age, and Aunt Amanda raised him by herself. She was always exceptionally kind to me. When we got married, she took out decades of savings to commission a beautiful set of jewelry for me. Our family is poor, but Zoe is a good child. We can't let our daughter-in-law be mistreated. When Sage and I argued, she always protected me. Earlier this year, she subtly brought up having children, but Sage cut her off. Actually, I had mentioned it to her first. Perhaps by then, his heart had already strayed. Zoe, it's Zoe. Aunt Amanda woke up and grabbed my hand. Where's that brat? I reassured her. Sage has something going on at school. He'll be here after he sorts it out. Did he do something to betray you? It turned out her heart attack was triggered because a neighbor said Sage and a student got together. She refuted it, but the neighbor persisted, and she collapsed from emotional distress. I swallowed hard and lied to her. No, we're doing great. Then why isn't he here with you? He's really busy. Aunt Amanda fell asleep, still half believing, half doubting. Sage stood at the hospital room door, his eyes red-rimmed. I thought you weren't coming tonight. She's my mother. This isn't the first or second time Blake made you turn off your phone, is it? He irritably lowered his head. I saw she was fine, so I came back for you. Nothing happened between us. I've already deleted and blocked her, and I'll transfer her to another advisor. There will be no more contact. He held my hand. Zoe, I can't lose you. Seeing my mother like this, So you're trying to win me over for your mother's sake? I scoffed. You didn't think of your mother when you were flirting with a student, but when she needs care, you remember me? After the divorce, I can pretend for your mother's sake until she's stable, but the divorce has to happen. Why? We've been through so many years, endured such difficult times. Why divorce now? That's what I should be asking you. I pulled my hand away. We were happy during the hard times. Why, now that things are good, have you changed? Look in the mirror. Ask the 20-year-old sage if he'd be ashamed to see you now. I left the hospital. You have one last week to keep your word. Sage finally agreed to the divorce, but Blake, however, started causing trouble. From her initial, Sage, do you know where Professor Thomas is? To her later, Zoe, you bitch, Sage and I are deeply in love. You're an old woman. He'll come back to me eventually. She even attached intimate photos of her and Sage. I saved them, just Alexander. Unexpectedly, Blake caused a scene at my new product launch, claiming the new material was toxic and harmful and didn't meet environmental standards. The press conference was live-streamed. Public opinion was in an uproar. Partners demanded to terminate their contracts, and I was overwhelmed. Sage, however, went back on his word. Zoe, during your difficult time, we won't divorce. I'll help you get through this. Get out. If it weren't for him, how would this public outcry have started? But he adopted the persona of a savior and offered his savings to help me. I accepted it all and gave him two choices. First, we divorce and Blake posts an apology video to calm public opinion. Second, I don't mind making this a bigger scandal. Sage came outside the company building every day to pick me up, ignoring the divorce. Blake continued stirring up trouble online, portraying me as a ruthless corporate mogul. A few days later, I used the money he gave me to buy a trending online slot that night. Luna publicly exposed Blake's academic fraud, making it the top trending online topic. Luna spoke out. I enrolled under Professor Thomas because of his fairness and rigor, but found that he favored Blake, making us help her with experiments and at her name, condoning her fraud. Because Jordan pointed out her fraud, she held a grudge and intentionally retaliated. I participated in the new material research and development throughout and guarantee the material's quality with my degree. Evaluation is welcome. Online users dug up that Luna was a true academic powerhouse, and the public opinion shifted. Blake is a slacker, Sage covered up the fraud. Master's advisor having an affair with a female student, condoning academic dishonesty. The original wife is the CEO of Jordan, so it turns out the mistress conspired with her husband to ruin the original wife. More evidence surfaced. Intimate photos of Sage and Blake, surveillance footage from the lab showing them flirting while Blake did no experiments, our wedding photo. Public opinion completely reversed. Finally, a national key laboratory conducted a live-stream test, proving the material met national standards. My orders doubled and online users showed support. Women who focus on their careers are the strongest. Men can't be relied upon. Only your career is truly yours. Sage and Blake became Chris. Blake's belongings were thrown out of her dorm, students booed during Sage's Jessica classes, and rotten produce was thrown at his lab. He suspended his teaching. Sage posted online. I am Zoe's husband. I failed in my duties as a husband, and had inappropriate boundaries in my interactions with others. As a Professor Michael, I violated my academic integrity and condoned dishonesty. I apologized to Zoe, online users, and my former self. Some people mentioned me, even urging reconciliation. I reposted. Currently divorcing. Sarah terminated Sage's employment and expelled Blake. I also reported Blake to the police for her defamation. The waiting period for the divorce ended. Sage came to sign the papers. He looked gaunt and worn. His posture was no longer upright. He smiled at me. Seeing me like this now, are you appeased? After we sign the papers, we'll have no relation. What happens to you is no longer my concern. He took out Lisa. 10 years, and we've still ended up here. We used to be so good together. It's precisely because I experienced complete devotion that I cannot accept you now offering me a shattered imitation, and expecting me to cherish it. I swiftly signed the papers. He sighed. Actually, I'm tired too. In college, some people said I wasn't good enough for you, that you were a princess, and I was a good-for-nothing mooching off you. From then on, I wanted to prove myself. I worked desperately, taking on research projects, moving from Lucas to Sarah in 3 years, but no matter how hard I tried, it felt like I could never catch up to you. At most, I'll be a professor in this life, while you're a rising star in business. That's when Blake appeared. She made me feel adored. I was completely blinded. Sage, don't dwell on the past. I never felt we needed to look up to or down on each other. I always believed you would become the nation's top material scientist, the kind of person who changes the world. Up until now, I haven't regretted being with the 20-year-old Sage. Now goodbye. Coming out of Liam, the sky was clear. Sage called. Congratulations on your freedom. Sage's lab is gone. Do you want to collaborate with me? My lab doesn't keep slackers. I smiled. Thanks, but I don't have that in mind right now. Maybe another time. My assistant Onyx called. Mr. Michael for the new energy project negotiation has arrived. I hung up the phone and walked towards the future without looking back. The current Zoe has too much to do,